WWE is the largest wrestling promotion in the entire world. They have thousands of employees and a large roster of wrestlers. When you have a roster so big, you are sure to hire people who might not be the best fit for your company. WWE too has definitely had their fair share of regrets in the hiring market. Be it wrestlers with bad attitudes, wrestlers who did not fit in, wrestlers who flopped with the fans, or wrestlers who stayed from the legal path. WWE has had plenty of wrestlers who they now regret hiring. In this list, we will talk about 10 WWE superstars who they regret hiring. Scott Steiner was a cornerstone of the WWE Tag Team division in the early 1990s. Along his brother Rick Steiner, Scott was quite successful in tag team matches. Eventually, he left WWE to join WCW. Though while battling against the likes of the NWO, he quickly adopted a new gimmick of Big Papa Pump. In this persona, he was more aggressive and seemed like he had evolved into what was a natural fit for WWE. His new buff and crazy muscular appearance were exactly what the WWE was looking for when they hired him in 2003. He was thought to be a natural fit in a main event role, even challenging a main event stream opponent like Triple H. It was not to be. Despite being a challenger for the World Championship, he was put into the spotlight way too soon. He was out of ring shape and showed exactly that in a match with Triple H at the Royal Rumble. This, along with being booked as a face instead of a heel, saw his run with the company be one that was best forgotten. His run was a short one, and soon enough, he was done with the company and became one of the biggest critics on the outside. Altogether, a signing that WWE has definitely come to regret since then. Jeff Jarrett may be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, but he was a signing that Vince McMahon definitely regrets to this day. During the period when WWE and WCW were competing with each other, Jarrett did not think twice before jumping between both brands. He held Mr. McMahon up on one occasion asking for more money before he would drop the Intercontinental title before moving to WCW. This, combined with the fact that he founded TNA and GFW to compete with WWE, is sure to have left a sour taste in Mr. McMahon's mouth. While WWE is honoring him now, his one signing Mr. McMahon wishes did not take place. When Cara joined WWE, she looked like a force to be reckoned with. Noticeably larger than anyone else in the women's division, she was given a mysterious monster gimmick, which she utilized it to its full potential. For a few weeks, she terrified different women on the roster by interfering in their matches or coming down to the ring suddenly, accompanied by the sound of ghosty laughter that was part of her theme. She was a throwback to the days of legitimate wrestling and looked perfectly capable of taking apart any of the women on the roster. Just as she seemed as if she were on the brink of a giant push, she became pregnant in real life. Unfortunately, she reportedly miscarried her baby, and while the situation remains hazy, she and the WWE could not come to terms with how long she needed time off from the company. She was released and WWE erased any traces of her from its history. At the time when it was obvious that Rey Mysterio was advancing in his years and WWE needed a new luchador to take over the role he had carried for so long, signing Sin Cara looked like the most obvious move they could make. Known out in the world as Mystico, Sin Cara was doing a fantastic job of working with the crowds and pulling beautiful lucha stunts. WWE gave him a huge push before he even appeared for the company, advertising him and airing vignettes hyping his debut in the company. He was even given an eerie yellow spotlight in the ring for the duration of his matches. From very early on, however, it became apparent that he was not adjusting well to the WWE style of wrestling. He did not look like he was a part of the company and stuck out like a sore thumb. On top of this, he botched a number of moves. Sin Cara's push was reduced and he became upset at the lack of push that he had been promised, leaving the company in a huff. He was replaced with another working taking over his gimmick, and WWE has since kept a clear ceiling on it, with their misgivings more than apparent. If there is one person who, by common knowledge, WWE regret hiring, it is Enzo. In the beginning, during his time teaming with Big Cass and Carmella in NXT, he seemed like one of the best speakers on the WWE roster. Truthfully, that was exactly what it was. He was an excellent talker. The problem was, he talked too much. There were very few wrestlers backstage who liked Enzo's personality, and the common theory was that his personality backstage was the same as his personality in front of the crowd. He was not any different and became a source of irritation backstage. With the tension backstage, he was split up from his partner Big Cass on the main roster. His continued boast of the amount of money he was making irritated everyone. After Cass's injury, he was sent down to 205 Live, where he became the champion. Things only became worse when rumors surfaced about his life outside wrestling, and he was accused by a girl of having sex with her without her consent. WWE was prompt in releasing him from the roster and released him from his contract. With all the trouble that they suffered as a result of hiring him, WWE certainly regrets the decision. A wrestler who is famously petty and has a horrible attitude, Ryback is another wrestler WWE regrets ever hiring. The big guy appeared on the scene in NXT, and soon after his move to the main roster was given a big push. His push was so big that he was competing for the main event title extremely soon, and the push he received came way before he was anywhere near prepared for it. Ryback was one of the worst signings of WWE, and his wrestling inside the ring was also stiff, as he hurt his opponents more often than not. Given his less than stellar reputation, it was not a surprise that CM Punk called him out on the infamous Colt Cabana podcast and said that he was inept as a wrestler and he hurt Punk on numerous occasions. Since he was released from his WWE contract after his pushes fell flat, Ryback has been more than vocal about his criticism for WWE. He called out WWE and said that he had not been given enough opportunities and that they had made mistakes in how they booked his character. It is unlikely, given all of this, WWE will be reaching out to him anytime soon. For once, the fault this time lies not on the wrestler, but on the gimmick that he was portrayed. Muhammad Hassan was given a stereotypical character of an Islamic radical. He was not really given an opportunity to shine, even though his character was really built up. WWE put a lot of stock in the character, and Hassan even received a push as a result. The problems lay elsewhere, as in show business, timing is everything. During his run in 2004, London was a victim of terrorist bombings. Seeing Hassan portray a terrorist in WWE so soon after that received a horrifying backlash from the public, and WWE erased him from their history faster than anyone could have believed. On this occasion, even if it was not the man, it was the gimmick that WWE regretted ever trying. Nails looked like the big men that WWE signed during this time. The character that he portrayed was an ex-convict who had been brutalized by the big boss man and was out for revenge. He could not wrestle, and his matches were actually brawls. What was worse was his character outside the ring. He was a nightmare to deal with, and all the authority figures shielded away from him. Not being one to shy away, Vince McMahon was physically assaulted by Nails backstage, and later Nails added salt to the wound, saying that Mr. McMahon had sexually harassed him. Bill Demont is one of the biggest black marks on WWE's record and is one of the major reasons that Kenny Omega is not signed to a WWE contract at this very moment. There is nothing that this man did that can be considered funny. Put in charge of training NXT recruits, Bill Demont is reportedly one of the most unstable people who ever had a WWE contract. When agitated, he waved a gun around. With accusations of sexual molestation, as well as aiming lewd comments at trainees, he created an impossible work environment. What was worse is that WWE only let him go when the stories became public knowledge. Definitely a man WWE regrets hiring. There are very few people who are not aware of the tragic story of the life and death of Benoit. Was a lover of wrestling and traveled all over the world to ply his craft when he was younger. With the likes of Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, in WWE, he was known for his relentless fighting style and was accurately given the name the Rabid Wolverine. With his headbutts and technical prowess, Benoit did not fit the mold of the wrestlers who were usually pushed by WWE, but on occasion, he and his friend Eddie both held WWE and World Heavyweight Championships at WrestleMania in what was a dream moment for everyone involved. All of this came to a crashing end. Eddie died of a heart attack tragically at a very young age. This affected Chris Benoit as well, though no one realized it. He went into a state of depression, and the years of abuse he had taken in wrestling took a toll on his mind. In one of the most hellacious acts of wrestling history, he killed his wife and son before killing himself as well. Since then, facts have come out that his brain had suffered the same damage as an 84-year-old Alzheimer's patient. Be that as it may, his act was unforgivable, and WWE deleted him literally from their history, never mentioning him on television again, making him the obvious choice for the wrestler that WWE regrets hiring the most. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did, hit that subscribe button right now so you guys can see more videos like this in the future.